There is a creature in the rivers south of Austin, a new breed of predator. It has no conscience, no reason. All it does is swim and eat and hit baseballs. Beware, Texas. There's a new fish in town. The Seguin River Monsters are here to stay.
Welcome to Let's Get To, your tour of America through the lens of minor league baseball. Baseball from sea to shining sea. And now, the first pitch. Opening thoughts from James Christopher. Presented by BaseballMapper.com.
And welcome to Let's Get To. We're going to get you back out to Seguin, but this is the first pitch presented by BaseballMapper.com. Go to them for all your baseball mapping needs. And if you're listening to this show, honestly, you probably have a lot of them. We're going to talk a little Pride today because it is June. It is Pride Month. And in full disclosure, because I love talking about, the process to get this particular show made, because I have to imagine it's one of the most complexly produced, independent baseball shows out there. And that sounds a lot like I led your team in ninth inning doubles in the month of August, but frankly it is. We put a lot of effort and pride into producing that show. And one of the things that we kind of realized is, starting really this week, starting on Thursday of the week we're recording, it's going to get more complicated because that's when the bulk of our trips start. Trips on trips, episodes, sometimes 4 ballparks in one trip, episodes that are going to be due out while we're on the road, which means doing a lot of post-production from hotel rooms, which means trying to get as many segments sort of in the can and ready to go as possible where it makes sense. Now, this segment is a segment that's often sort of breaking news-ish, current events-ish, and so sometimes it can be hard. And for example, I did record this episode already, and it turns out, thanks to the Tampa Bay Rays, it needs to be re-recorded. So for those of you who aren't following, the Tampa Bay Rays had designated their Pride Night and announced it and all this stuff. They are one of 29 Major League Baseball teams that are having a Pride Night this year. Only one is not. That is the team in Arlington. And they did it with all of the sort of presentation that a lot of other teams do it. They advertised it. I'm assuming they saw a boost in ticket sales, particularly from that community. And then a handful of players decided that they didn't want to participate. And they nominated someone to sort of be the spokesman for the group. Don't know his name. Outside of a handful of people, most people don't know who plays for the Rays. That was a joke. But not really. So he comes out and he says, listen, it's not that we hate gay people. It's that, we just think as Christians that we really can't endorse a lifestyle that we think is sinful. But we don't, by any means, do we hate gay people. We're not going to cast judgment unless we're actually casting judgment, as it turns out. And the story kind of went, and then it kind of died, I guess. And then Cardinals pitcher Jack Flaherty, I already consider myself a Cardinal fan, sort of, I guess, came out and said, listen, it's a ridiculous move by the Tampa Bay Rays. And I want to point out something about that. First of all, I agree with Jack Flaherty. It's a ridiculous move by those players. But I'd like to point out, I'm looking at Jack's Twitter profile here. He has a Bible verse in it. He is also a man of God. He is also someone who believes in Jesus. I am someone who believes in the teachings of Jesus. But I think the chief among those teachings of Jesus, and I quote one of my very best friends on the planet, my film husband, as we refer to ourselves, don't be an asshole. It's probably got to be one of Jesus's key phrases there, right? Just don't be rude to people. So then the debate becomes, and this is where it is with everything, right? Like, well, my rights, I get to represent. Look, here's the thing. And I will appreciate the fact, we're going to talk a little bit in this segment about how I view the world. I view the world with the lenses that either I've developed myself or the lenses I was born with. And one of the lenses that I developed myself is that of having been in the military, where I am used to knowing that sometimes Jim's personal beliefs have to take a back seat for what the organization, the unit, the team wants to express. The people who own the Tampa Bay Rays felt the need to have Pride Night. You can question at home if it's your motivation as to why that is. Do they want to sell more tickets and hats and stuff? Sure. Because they want to grow the game. I mean, like, there's this whole circular thing. But regardless, that is what the organization wanted to do. And in my opinion, those players are representatives of the organization. They had a responsibility to basically, in this case, do as they're told. We would flip a red, white, and blue gasket. I would be one of the first ones out there if a player decided, you know what? I'm not going to do military appreciation night. I'm not going to wear the stars and stripes on my uniform. I'm not going to wear the camouflage gear. We would freak out. Sorry for the jump cut there. When I recorded the first version, there were lots of jump cuts because I was still recovering from food poisoning. Now there are jump cuts because Vader decided to move and he's large. Anyway, yeah, people would freak out. They would blow a red, white, and blue gasket. Now imagine if that person was a foreign-based player, if it was Ohtani or if it was Jose Altuve. All we would hear from these very same people who are saying, I don't think you should have to wear anything pride, you would be hearing, how lucky are you to be in this country? How lucky are you to be here? You should kiss the ring and all of this stuff. The fact is, if the organization decides that this is what we value, this is what we do, and you're an employee of that organization, particularly, you're not just hired to play baseball. We can be naive all we want, but you're not just hired for 9 innings, 162 games a year. You're also hired to represent the organization. And I think in this particular case, these players did an awful job do it. And I don't know I wouldn't ban them from the league like I've seen, but I would dock them a game's pay. I would say, listen, you were hired to do a job. You didn't do the job. We're now going to take a chunk of your salary away and move on. It seems to me the absolute most correct and fair thing to do. But again, that's just me. But it did get me thinking that we needed to talk about why pride exists. And I will offer that with a caveat. I am a straight white guy. I don't say that to apologize for it, as has become, I think, the demand of people who are not straight white guys. I don't, I'm very comfortable in my gender and my race. I'm not apologizing for it, but I'm acknowledging that I have opinions on things that are probably more academic. I haven't experienced some of the prejudice that comes with being, for example, in the LGBTQ community. I just haven't. It doesn't make me better. It doesn't make me worse. It just means it's the way it is. And so I do at least offer the caveat there that I might come off maybe wrong, or I might get something not 100% correct. And the fact is I've seen from friends of mine in that community. Yes, I do have friends of them in that community. No, I will not name them because that's silly. But I've seen some sort of shifting of tides at the corporatization of pride. And I hope that this doesn't seem like or become like that. I hope that that my friends in that community realize that I'm coming from, I think, the best possible place. Pride is an important thing for two reasons. One, there's a large historical impact that resulted in the day of sort of the beginning of the resistance to all of the prejudice and abuse that community was feeling. But I think what makes it important in 2022 is that there are still a population of particularly young, but I have to imagine it runs the gamut of age, of LGBTQ people who think their life would be easier if they killed themselves, because they're dealing with that level of abuse and they're dealing with that level of hate and that level of prejudice. And, I'm going to try to keep the segment light, and that's kind of my way. I think I have a tendency sometimes to be a little lighter about serious subjects. I think that's, again, a function of having been in the army and seen, stuff. But that's the inescapable fact. There's still a large group of the LGBTQ population who feel so pressured from prejudice and abuse and just hate that they think the easiest way to get through life is to just not have life. And if that doesn't hit you where you live, I don't know what to tell you. But I thought I would come up with some ways to help you, noble viewer, who maybe you're unsure about what pride is. Maybe you don't know very many people in that community, about the best ways to navigate it if you end up going to a ball game on Pride Night. Now, the first thing is, look, and this is the thing, I think the thing that's probably the most scary in American culture right now. Learn about it. Ask a question. Go to someone in that community and talk to them about it. Educate yourself. Find out about their struggle. Find out about what this week, this month, and what pride means to them. Try to understand what this is, and you might come away with a new appreciation for it. I'm going to immediately throw my friend Sav, throwing him right under the bus. Hi, Sav. Don't know if you're watching. Not sure if I want you to or not. But no, I've seen him do it before. He is just a very generous and very thoughtful, compassionate person who is willing to have the conversation and is willing to if someone doesn't maybe have the right vernacular or have the right verbiage, at least be super compassionate and understanding while explaining to you why it's important. And you'll walk away from that conversation, whether you have more appreciation for pride or not, you'll have a good appreciation of him as being just a man of integrity. So ask someone. I guarantee you, if it's someone that you know with any degree of actual human level connection, they're not going to have a hard time answering the question, and they might just it might reflect so well on you for asking it. Maybe you don't want to know about it. Maybe you don't know very many people in the community. Maybe you don't live in a community or a city or a state or a town where the community is very active, very out, and you end up at the game. You know what you can do? You just ignore what's happening. Watch the baseball, eat the hot dog, drink the beer. The eating the hot dog thing there's a lot of middle school jokes there, but just ignore it, right? Just go watch baseball. And if there's stuff happening around you that somehow makes you clutch your pearls and offend your sensibilities, just ignore it. Another option, as you're scrolling through your little pocket schedule that you picked up at the Jiffy Lube for, whatever ballpark or ball team is within the vicinity of said Jiffy Lube, you don't have to go. You can stay home. There are, I think, 71 minor league games in every home park. Go to the other 70. There's 81 Major League Baseball games. Go to the other 80. Unless you're an Arlington Rangers fan, and you're welcome at all 81. Just don't go. Understand that baseball's for everyone, which I think is a big reason why, particularly at the minor league baseball level, they do it. Baseball's for everybody. And so you can sit that one out, just like you might sit out Princess Night, which has a similar, right, motivation of growing the game. Just don't go. Stay home. Go to the movies. I bet Top Gun is out. You might want to, if you go into like the 86 movie, just skip the volleyball scene, though. It might make you uncomfortable. Jokes, people. Relax. No one's ever been hurt from a joke before. Maybe not no one, but they're just jokes. The last thing that you can do, and I'm asking this of you on behalf of your grandchildren. Don't be on the wrong side of history. Don't go on social media and complain about it. Just reserve the right to not come off as super homophobic. Just don't. And there's a lot of ways to come off homophobic. And there is this sort of obvious one, right? There's being, having the slurs and saying the words and all of this stuff that you can do. But we all know that people are much, much too savvy these days to give anyone any real screen grabbable material. So what they do is they do it in code. It's like complaining about the third sister on Obi-Wan Kenobi. I wish she was a better actor, which you often mean, because I think she's fantastic. What you mean is, I really wish she acted more white. So don't do that. Don't say things like, well, when are we going to have straight night? Well, you have straight night 364 days a year. Okay. I've been to a lot of ball games in my life. I was at a pace growing up where I was at 30 to 35 Astros games a year. Because anybody in my circle, hey, has anybody got an extra? I would go. I obviously travel for this show for minor league baseball. I have seen a lot of kiss cams, y'all. And I don't think I've ever seen a kiss cam not at a pride night land on a same-sex couple. Just saying. And not all of that's Machiavellian. I get it. But straight nights every night except for one at a ball game. So complaining about that, talking about, I don't know why we talk about sexuality at all, or just, those are code words for saying, I don't want you to be different. I want you to be like me. So again, that's the pride talk. I get that I might be a little off with some of maybe how I'm expressing. I don't think I'm off how I feel about it, but again, I'm a straight white guy. I don't necessarily have my finger on the pulse of everything that's supposed to be said or done or just the right way. But it just seems to me that everything that we've seen in the last, since March of 2020. So I guess now going on 2.25 years has sucked. We've had the pandemic. We have the war in Ukraine. We are continuously seeing our schools getting shot up and other mass gatherings of people. We are facing down inflation and an economy that's in a weird spot right now. And there's monkeypox, right? So we have a lot going on. What does it hurt if we reach out to certain groups of people and say, hey, this tough life you're having right now, or this tough experience, there's a place for you to take a 9-inning break from it, a 9-inning piece of therapy where we can put all our differences aside and agree that baseball is a thing that everyone can enjoy. And I'll leave with this. I've said on the show before that I believe that baseball is in many ways the American ideal at its most perfect example. It is a team of 25 at the major league and minor league level, 25 men. Our coaching staff of men and women, all of them from different countries, states, religions, backgrounds, all playing for a similar goal. And you see it in certain clubhouses like the Astros where, You have stories like Alex Bregman learning to speak Spanish so he can be part of that, of his entire community. If you talk about the Los Angeles Angels, you've got at least 3 different languages spoken in that clubhouse because you have English, Spanish, and Japanese. Everyone belongs in baseball, and baseball is for everyone. So that's it. Now baseball is also for a brand new group of people, and that is the folks out at Seguin, Texas. And we're going to head back to Seguin and the Seguin River Monsters.
On the St. Louis team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
That's what I want to find out. I want you to tell me the names of the fellas on the St. Louis team.
I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
You know the fellas' names?
Yes.
Well, then who's playing first?
Yes.
I mean, the fellas'
Who's on
base.
first?
Who?
The Let's Get To Team of the Week.
Who?
The guy on first base.
Presented by the Baseball Bucket List Podcast.
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
So we're super excited to welcome to the show Scott Berry. He is the GM of the Seguin River Monsters, a new team in the Texas Collegiate League. Scott, how's it going?
It's going good. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm so excited to talk about the Seguin River Monsters. I'm a big believer in the TCL, have been for years. I'm glad to see it maybe starting to expand a little bit. But before we get to that, how do you go from, I presume, a kid who's into baseball to now being the GM of a baseball team?
So Mike and I actually, we played even minor leagues together, little league, high school, basically played baseball our whole lives together. And it was going on about 2.5 years ago. Mike threw out the idea of starting a team in the TCL. And we talked about it, and it was more of an idea. And then this summer it turned into reality. We kind of actually just jumped into it. Years ago, he had contacted Yuri, who's the commissioner, and got a lot of information about starting a team. And so we did have that. And this year we just committed. It seemed like something that would be a very fun undertaking, which it has been. And it's been exciting.
One of the things that I've always found interesting is that Texas never really had a huge collegiate league present, right? Like the Northwoods League is a big deal. Cape Cod, obviously. How important is it, do you think, to see this level of baseball grow in the state of Texas?
We think it's important. We want to raise the TCL to the standards of those leagues. And, we had such a huge player outreach when we announced our team with kids from all over Texas and from other states. And the desire to play Premier College League baseball here in Texas is here. And we are trying to, along with the TCL, raise the bar and bring more teams and, be the standard of the TCL.
Let's talk a little bit about the brand. It's a lot of fun. It's a cool logo. What was the process like to go from, like I said, you and Mike having this idea, hey, we might want to have a team, to now all of a sudden we're the River Monsters and we look badass? What was that whole process like of how did we come up with the mascot and the idea for the logo?
The River Monsters was not anything planned. We were kind of brainstorming different names. We had I think the Bandits was one of them. The Six Strings with a guitar was, I think, one of them. We reached out to people to make suggestions. I believe River Monsters came up with in a meeting with the city and the school. And that's kind of where the name was born. Seguin I'm new to Seguin. It's a bit, love it here, but I guess it's a fishing town from what the residents have said, and River Monsters kind of stuck after that name was generated.
And who did you guys go to do the logo? Was that done in-house? Did you hire some graphic designers? How did that work?
We had a graphic designer do the logo. I wish I could take credit for it because it's cool. We love it. But that was out of house. Somebody did that for us, and they did a great job.
How important was it for you guys? I mean, this is what minor league baseball is now, right? It's a little off kilter with its look. It's a little that you want to be something like, it's the sod poodles. It's all these things that you want to remember. So, I mean, how important do you think it was going in to say, we need a name that's going to stick, a name that people are going to remember?
Yeah, that is a big part of it, about standing out and, being different. There's, you have to, be, like I said, stand out as far as the rest of minor leagues or other leagues. And we had never heard of the River Monsters. We thought the bright green would, kind of pop. And it was a process to settle on it. But once we did, we thought, this is something that can be pretty cool.
What is the plan going forward? I mean, you guys obviously are just starting. Y'all are walking before you run, but like, when do you think we'll be able to see, like, what is your plan for merch availability going forward? Like, do you see jerseys being available for sale and all of that fun stuff?
Yes, that is all stuff we hope to have this season. Everything, even from baseball down to groceries is, supply line and everything. So we actually, we felt terrible for our guys. Our jerseys are hopefully coming in tomorrow. They were supposed to be here well beforehand, but they've been delayed, as well as our other shipment of hats for fans to buy, because all of the fans have been quite interested in buying the hats. So we do have more of those on the way. We have more jerseys on the way. And now that we have seen kind of we've been overwhelmed by the support and the interest. And so now that we kind of know what we have going here, we have more merch on the way because people are interested.
People like their minor league baseball merch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the setup you got behind you is unbelievable. So,
we had mentioned the Sod Poodles earlier in passing, and I remember very specifically when that name was dropped, it was met with a lot of anger, and then people bought in. When the River Monsters were announced, was it just immediate, like people were in for it, or did you have to do some brand explanation?
We really didn't. People have given us basically all positive feedback from it. We haven't heard anybody really say, "Why'd you go with this one? What's this all about?" And then even our guys on the team kind of ran with it, and they shortened the Monsters to the Stirs.
I love that, by the way. Yeah.
Well, yeah, so do we. That was what they did on their own. It was at one of our practices, they were doing a breakdown before running out for infield, outfield. And I was taking a video and I heard 1, 2, 3 Stirs. And I did a double take and I said, "What was that?" And I said, "Oh, okay. I get that. I like that." So they enjoy it too. So we're glad that both the fans and the players are on board with it.
We're recording this after opening your first home opener and before we'll be out there on Saturday to record, and obviously it's a first night of an event. I know it's like to put an event on, it's stressful. Do you have any moments where you're able to pause and be like, this is really cool?
Yes, it was honestly right before the moment where I said, "Oh crap, this is really bad." But when we were up in the booth and we saw that the stream was, going to look good. And, we were getting ready to do the lineup announcements. And then our PA guy said, "The internet's down." But right before that, when I was in the booth looking out there at the field and saw the fans below me, it was very cool. But there has been those moments. The Saturday before our game, we had some fans out and kids out to the field, and they were getting autographs and came on the field after practice and running around, and some of the guys were hitting them ground balls, and seeing that was really cool. Little stuff along the way, that people walking into the stadium for the first time was cool. So all little different moments that build up.
So how do you guys, this was y'all's brainchild. You will obviously evaluate and go forward. I suspect your goal is to sort of be like the Brazos Valley Bombers as far as just being fixtures in this league for a long amount of time. How do you measure success in year one? I know you already sold like 300 season tickets, right? So is that the benchmark, or how do you sit back whenever the season's over and go, here's what we really did well? What does that look like to you guys?
We definitely want our players to enjoy the experience. That is a big part of what we're doing, is for the players, to showcase them. They want to continue their playing careers, whether it's at a bigger school or moving on after college to keep playing. So we want the players to really enjoy themselves. And obviously the fans as well. The support on our season tickets was more than we could have ever asked for. And we hope that we can sustain that. As far as other things that we want to happen to keep us in the league, that is our goal. We want to be a staple in the TCL. This year, there really isn't any singular thing that we have that brings us back. This is kind of a learning process for us. And we do have the plan for learn this year, learn and keep building as we go. So if next year we jump up to 400 season tickets or we drop down to 200, it really doesn't totally matter to us. We're just going to keep rolling with it and make work what we can.
Oh, I think it's a great way to look at it. All right. You want to play a little pepper?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. What is your go-to ballpark food?
Go-to ballpark food. I spent a lot of years in New York City. I would get the sausage and peppers at Citi Field.
Okay. Oh, so you're a Mets fan.
I am a Mets fan.
That ends the conversation. So sorry. I am an Astros fan from way back and still cry over 86. Okay. Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Okay. What's the strangest thing you've seen at a ballpark?
Strangest thing I've seen at a ballpark. One of my main opening day of when I went to opening day at Citi Field, it was a windy day and there couldn't have been more sausage and peppers and hot dog wrappers blowing around the stadium in like a wrapper tornado, it almost seemed. And that just kind of stuck with me.
All right. What is the first time baseball broke your heart? For example, for me, 1986.
Probably the Carlos Beltran strikeout against the St. Louis Cardinals in 2006. That one sits with me still.
It was looking too, right? Like
it was looking.
Yeah,
it was looking. It was after an incredible play by Andy Chavez robbing a home run at the wall. So that one stuck with me.
Okay. What is your favorite team brand in minor league baseball? The whole landscape of it, be it MILB, be it independent, be it Collegiate Summer League, but not including the River Monsters.
This year, we've learned a lot about the Savannah Bananas. I know that they're a little on the wackier side, but they've captivated me this year as far as learning about new teams. They jump off the top of my head.
Okay, great. Yeah, I love those guys. All right, dogs or cats?
Dogs. I have a hound mix. He's kind of like a beagle mix. He's laying in bed in front of me right now.
Nice. Star Wars or the movie Jaws?
People are going to be mad at me, but I've not seen all the Star Wars. I understand the plot line. I get all the characters, but I have not fully seen the movies. So I got to go Jaws. Okay.
Would you prefer Kevin Costner as a cowboy or a ball player?
Oh man. Yellowstone's real good.
Yeah.
But we'll go ball player.
All right. And when you go to a new ballpark, where is your favorite spot to sit?
I'm kind of a stander at ballparks. So I find different standing spots around the state. I move around, I do check my seats out, but I'm a nomad in the ballpark kind of.
I love that we've gone that route, particularly with minor league parks, but now with major league parks where they've accepted the fact that's what people do.
Yeah, that's how I watch games.
Yeah, I mean, me too. All right, last one. What is your go-to baseball movie?
Go-to baseball movie. The Sandlot isn't kind of an easy answer. But I also really enjoy 61.
Oh, great choice. I don't think anybody's made that choice yet on the history of these questions. Well, Scott, we're very excited to have the River Monsters be a part of the fabric of the game. We're excited to be sponsoring you guys. It's a pretty big thrill for us. And so good luck and thanks for jumping on Let's Get To.
Oh man, your support has been much appreciated. We're really glad you guys have been interested in us, and we're excited to have you at the ballpark for your show on Saturday.
From the bleachers, the Let's Get To Game of the Week.
And welcome to From the Bleachers on Let's Get To, and we're coming to you from the bleachers of Smokey Joe Williams Park, home of your Seguin River Monsters.
In the history of Texas, few figures stand above that of Juan Seguin. Leader in the Texas War for Independence, a military commander, and a senator, he left his mark on the state. And in his namesake town of Seguin, that grit and resilience carries over into every part of the community, including in the work that Mike Gigliotti and Scott Berry are doing and bringing high-level baseball to the area. The Texas Collegiate League has been providing excellent baseball since 2004, and the River Monsters are the newest addition to the circuit. The River Monsters play at Smokey Joe Williams Field, named for legendary Negro League pitcher and Hall of Famer Smokey Joe Williams. It's a fun, intimate ballpark nestled in a really cool sports complex, including a pretty neat rodeo arena. They were all ready for baseball, and they even laid out the bunting. During the high school baseball season, it serves as the home of the Seguin Matadors. And judging by the doubles that bounced off this logo, the Matadors should work on dodging something other than bulls. Maybe baseballs. My favorite feature of the park is the light stands. They remind me of the ones we saw in Tacoma all those years ago, the last pieces of old San Francisco Seal Stadium. The River Monsters jumped onto the bank of the baseball river with an amazing branding and logo, showing just how invested the team is in becoming a staple of baseball in the area. But the major indication of their commitment is love. Starting a baseball team has the same trappings of every other small business, except you have no excuse but to pull it off because you're a forward-facing business. And those that start it have to lead from the front, and they have to carry the load, and Mike, Scott, and his team are doing just that. From serving as the ground crew and watering the infield, to raking the mound, to striping the lines in the batter's box, no job is too big or too small for these guys. And they want to make sure the kids who come to play have the best experience they can. So when the jerseys they ordered didn't come in, they stayed up all night and hand-pressed logos and numbers onto temporary jerseys so they'd have something to play in. And the reward for that hard work comes in the faces of those who get to have some of that first baseball magic that you see anywhere the greatest game ever invented is played. Look at this kid and his brother. Now, the brother just wanted to be in the picture, but the older kid was so excited that he got his first foul ball that he showed it to just about everyone in the park. That memory will last him forever, and it's a direct result of the hard work from Mike, Scott, their families, and the team. And they even had pups at their very first ever Bark in the Park, and they looked like they were having a great time. And look, let's be honest, it's hot in Texas in summer, but how cool was it to see Texas staple Kona Ice out at the ballpark? And what's better than a snow cone when you're watching a ball game? We at Let's Get To are proud to partner with the River Monsters to bring baseball to Seguin and do whatever little part we can to support that endeavor. We're here for whatever they need. I firmly believe it's going to be something special, something to watch, and we can't wait to see what Scott and Mike and their families, because their families are a big part of this, and the team they've assembled bring to the diamond in Seguin.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd.
The seventh inning stretch. What's going on outside of the ballpark? Presented by the Dad Hat Chronicles.
So we're excited to be joined on the seventh inning stretch with Kyle Kramm from Visit Seguin, the Seguin CVB. Kyle, how's it going, man?
It's going very well. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are things in one of my favorite parts of Texas? Pretty good today?
Yes, yeah, we're doing really well. We've got a lot of new activities going on, and we're staying very busy here.
You know, Seguin is one of those places that I think Texans know, but with you guys getting the River Monster, I think you're going to start seeing a lot more travel from out of state. So if somebody comes from out of state, what are some of the go-to things for them to do in Seguin?
Yeah, definitely. We've got a lot of things to check out. We got a great historic downtown. We are one of the oldest cities in Texas, so with that comes a lot of historic architecture with small mom and pop businesses in them. So in downtown, you'll find women's clothing boutiques, antique stores, all sorts of stuff. Some great restaurants and bars. One of our newest additions, Burnt Bean Company. They were voted number 4 best barbecue in the state of Texas by Texas Monthly Magazine. So we're very proud of them, and just plan on standing in line for about an hour to get your barbecue. But it's definitely worth the wait. But then we have family friendly activities like ZDT's amusement park. It's a whole bunch of abandoned warehouses that have been turned into an amusement park with go-kart racing, climbing walls, arcade games, a shuttle roller coaster, water slides, all sorts of fun activities.
That sounds awesome. And what a clever way to use some space, that to actually have it be something that's part of the community and not just sitting there.
Yeah, it's interesting to have an amusement park in such like inside of a neighborhood. It's not off on the edge of town. It's actually within Seguin and within the neighborhood itself.
I want to talk a little bit about, because you already mentioned some food, but just, how important is it for a town to have a good local food culture, alcohol culture, whatever it is?
It's definitely important. Probably what most people know Seguin for is our Mexican food. I like to say we probably have more breakfast tacos per capita than anywhere else in Texas. So definitely, it's got their Tex-Mex to more traditional Mexican interior food styles. So we've got all sorts of Mexican food. But now we're really starting to get on the map for barbecue as well. We've got Domino's Barbecue, which is now 3 generations old, and they have gotten national attention. And then we've got the brand new one, like Burnt Bean, and we've got a couple others in town, and some additional ones coming. Everybody, when they travel, everybody's got to eat. So it's really great, not only for locals, but for the visitors to have the food variety.
So you're saying if we come up for a River Monsters game on a Saturday, what time should I'm asking for myself, what time should I get there to make sure I get some of that burnt bean barbecue?
Well, the line starts forming. They open at 11, and the line will start forming about 10:15. And they do sell out on most Saturdays by about 1:30. So 1:30 or 2 in the afternoon. So definitely be in line before, I would say, 12:30.
All right, good tips. We'll file that away for June 4th, I think is when we're coming up. So we like to show this episode is covering the birth of the Seguin River Monsters, a part of the Texas Collegiate League. What was sort of y'all's impression or response when you first heard that you would be getting a baseball team in town?
A lot of excitement, and Mike sent us an email, said, "Hey, I've got this idea, and I want to have it at Smokey Joe Williams." And I just automatically started running with it. Went to Parks director, to the school district, and just started, working all the angles and coming up with the agreement between the city, the school district, and the team. And so we've been really excited about it, really trying to push and promote it, that it's here. We've helped them get hotel rooms for the visiting teams. So we're thrilled to have them and what it's going to bring to Seguin.
Well, I think that's my next question is, we travel the country for this show to all places you can imagine. Baseball seems to be the one thing that can exist in any size community. What will it bring for Seguin?
The stadium can hold about, I think, 900 people. So I'm hoping that it's going to be filled every game. But and in reality, we're going to be happy if it's a couple hundred. And so really, I think it's going to bring people from Austin, San Antonio to come watch a game. And then we've got all these small towns that surround us. Stockdale, Gonzales, where they've got great baseball teams at the high school. And so I think those high school kids are going to want to come check out and see what their next steps could be when they start going to college.
I think especially too, because the Texas Collegiate League will be featuring mostly Texas college players on their summer break. So there will be a local reason to come out.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm hoping some of the families of the players are going to come to the games. And so it's going to be great just, to have the people coming to Seguin, because, they're not just going to come to the game. They're going to stop and get gas. They're going to stop and have lunch. They're going to stop maybe at a store. Maybe they're going to even get a hotel room because the game goes into extra innings. So,
well,
that's the hope of having this. And if that doesn't even happen, just the fact that we're hosting them and providing the athletes an opportunity to get more exposure, and perhaps be picked up by the MLB. That in itself is a win.
Well, thanks so much, Kyle. We're excited. Our show's actually sponsoring the River Monsters this year, so you'll see our banner right behind home plate. He's Kyle Kramm from Visit Seguin. Thanks so much for jumping on Let's Get To.
All right. Thank you so much, Jim. Bye.
All right. I'm going to have to edit one part.
And now on to close it out, the right-hander from Houston, Texas, James Christopher.
So that does wrap up this episode of Let's Get To, coming from Smoky Joe Williams Field in Seguin, Texas. Thanks so much for the River Monsters to having us out. Had a great time. I hope anybody in the area that's looking for some good collegiate summer baseball can make it out. Now, a little bit about what we're wearing. I am wearing our Dollar Dog Season t-shirt, which you can get on our website. But I'm also wearing my Longhorn cap. And this is not because of how the men's baseball team did in the Super Regional or how the women's softball team did in the Women's College World Series, because frankly, I don't know yet. Recording this episode before those events happen and then dropping it after they've occurred. The magic of editing. I want to do a shout out to Longhorn Nation. I'm a vet, as I'm pretty open about on this show. I'm also a Longhorn grad, which I'm also very open about on this show. I was so proud of the ovation, the reception, the love shown to the Air Force Academy after the regional, the USA chants, the recognizing each senior as they left the field, the handshakes between teams, which you just don't see after high school, really, and then the Air Force Academy staying out there and singing The Eyes of Texas. It's bigger than baseball. It's what we all should be striving for, where we put things in the proper perspective and knowing that those young men are going to be going off and doing something much more important than playing baseball or, quite frankly, covering a baseball team. So again, hook 'em horns, and good luck to all those Air Force grads. We will be back next week. We're heading out to Michigan for the Western Michigan Whitecaps. It's going to be a great episode. Make sure you tune in. Until then, get out to your local ballpark, whether it's a collegiate summer league park or affiliated minor league parks or indie. Get you some peanuts, get you some Cracker Jack, but most importantly, let's get to. Let's Get To is presented by Twitchy Dolphin Media. Executive produced by Jessica Bybee-Jedgetts. Produced by Andy Tomcheson, Scott McIntyre, and James Christopher. Associate producers Andrew Nelson, Timothy Jedgetts, and Jess Canaster. Music by Andy Bertelson, Grace Usselman, and On Holiday. All content created by Let's Get To is the sole property of Twitchy Dolphin Media. All content created by teams covered in the episode are the sole property of the trademark holders. Let's Get To is a proud member of Curved Brim Media.
This podcast is part of the Curved Brim Media Network. Here are some of the other members of Curved Brim Media.
Hi, I'm James Christopher, host of Let's Get To, and we are going to be taking you on a tour of this great country through the lens of minor league baseball. That's right, from sea to shining sea, we're going to be looking at towns big and small as we explore the greatest game ever invented.
This is Patrick
and Corey
of BaseballMapper.com, and we have made an interactive map to help highlight all baseball teams from the majors down to collegiate summer leagues.
We want to bring you closer to baseball, so get on the site and find a team near you today.
Hi, this is Ed Rivera of the Data Chronicles. Join me as I interview people just like you and players, coaches, GMs on the path that led you to become a fan of the sport.
What's up, Bucketheads? I'm Anna DiTomaso, and each week on the Baseball Bucket List podcast, I speak with a different fan about their favorite baseball memories, what the game means to them, and what's left to check off on their baseball bucket list.
Hey guys, this is Patrick Larson from the Minor League Baseball Hat History Series, and in every episode I go through the history of minor league teams through my personal collection of hats. You can find me on Twitter at @PatLarson1. I hope you guys enjoy.
And I'm Paul Caputo. I tell the story of America one minor league baseball logo and nickname at a time on the Baseball by Design podcast.
Learn more about Curved Brim Media at curvedbrimmedia.com.